Hi, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing fine. I'm doing these last minute little fix ups real quick just because I'm sitting in front of a mirror all of a sudden. So happy Tuesday, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful, thrilling episode of Margaux with Margaux. Um, how's your Tuesday? How was your day today? Well, I hope it was wonderful. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm happy to hear you. Come on in. Get the party started, right? Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little toast. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hi. Today is Tuesday, April 21st. We're almost to May 1st, which is some of the states are going to start to open up, which I think is pretty interesting and how this whole thing is developing. I just want to say toast to you, my guest, for joining me. And I'm just going to say, I'm just going to let you know I had a wonderful day. It was absolutely wonderful. And it's even better because you have come to join me. So, hi. Here we go for a toast. Oh, God, it was just absolutely divine. So, what part of the world are you guys in? I'm in Los Angeles area, and we're still on lockdown. I think our lockdown is going to stay until like May, I believe May 15th. So we'll see how this whole thing goes. I just want to say I'm very sorry to hear about the number of people who've passed away. It's just a daunting number every day. You see a few thousand people die. It's heartbreaking because each of those individuals is a family member to someone, right? A mother, a daughter, a sister. And if anyone has dealt with any type of loss in their life, whether it's a parent or friend, it's pretty tough. A couple of things. One is the idea of death because it's so permanent. A person exists, and all of a sudden, that person's energy and space, they're no longer here with us in this world. And then the second part that's really tough about losing someone is facing your own mortality. And the idea, of course, that you don't have a lot of time. Um, and it forces you to analyze how much time, what are you doing, what are your goals, am I progressing in a direction I want, is this working, is that working? Because we all have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And since I'm involved in several different industries, I had to quickly learn how to balance time and what was more important, what's not important, what is important, and sort of make a strategy and a schedule to do this. So first off, let's just talk a little bit about the coronavirus updates. We're going to talk a little bit of business and some other stuff that we're working on. So let's just go over that real quick. So what did you think about the update? It's interesting, hon, how the update started a month ago where it was, coronavirus, what we're going to do to help everyone to wear the mask. And now it's transitioning into this opening up our country, opening up so we can all get back to work, which I think is important to do. Um, I think there's some interesting news. Now, this is some interesting news. I just thought of this. There's some interesting news that I read today. So I'm going to read a little bit of this news to you and we'll discuss this because I thought this was quite interesting. Now, this is from Town Hall. And you can find it's written by the journalist is Marina Medvin. So I'm going to post this on Margaux Monet and at Margaux, so you guys can go back. You all can go and review it and read it. It says Professor Yitzhak Ben Israel of Tel Aviv University, who also serves on the Research of Development Advisory Board at Tavi Pharmaceutical Industry. So they rated the infections in the US, UK, Sweden, Italy, Israel, Switzerland, France, Germany, and Spain. I love all those countries. They're all wonderful. The numbers told a shocking story. Irrespective of whether the country is quarantined like Israel or went about business usually like Sweden, coronavirus peaked and subsided in the exact same way, which I thought was interesting, correct? What it was, regardless if you stayed in or you went about business, it peaked the same way. So I'll continue to read this. His graphs showed that all countries experienced seemingly identical coronavirus infection patterns, with the number of infections affected peaking in the 6th week and rapidly subsiding by the 8th week. The Wuhan virus follows its own pattern, he told Mako, an Israeli news agency. It's a fixed pattern that's not dependent on freedom or quarantine, correct? Freedom being out, quarantine being indoors. There's a decline in the number of infections, even in countries without closures, and is similar to countries with closures. Quote, is the coronavirus expansion exponential? The answer by the numbers is simple no. No. Expansion begins exponentially but fades quickly after about 8 weeks. Professor Yusuf Ben Israel concluded, the reason why coronavirus follows a fixed pattern is yet unknown. I have no explanation, he told Margaux. There is kinds of speculation. Maybe it's climate related. Maybe the virus has its own cycle. So what that tells you, a couple of things. One, whenever you read an article in the paper, you always have to question, is this accurate or not? Let's go with the assumption that this is the case. This is actually really good news because this tells us that we all can go about life as normal, correct? If being indoor or being outdoor doesn't change the bottom line of the number of people who get coronavirus, the number of people who die, if it doesn't matter, then obviously we're going to go back to a normal life much sooner than later. Now, this article came out today. There's going to be a lot of criticism on the other side. There's always two sides of every discussion. Let's see how this plays out, and we'll talk about this information that just came across today in a few coming days. But if this is correct and this information is accurate, then we're going to be okay, and that's great news. So we're going to do a quick toast because we always find a reason to drink more Margaux. So here we go. That was really good news. So that's exciting. Okay, that's good news. Next thing on the list, the FDA authorizes the first at-home COVID-19 test kit. Now, I'm hoping what happened that these test kits, if it's a home test kit, that we all can get it for free, correct? And we all can find out if we have coronavirus. I think it's absolutely wonderful. This is going to be one of many. I think there's so many great companies out there that are racing to find ways to get more testing. It's a need that's there, and a lot of people are working very hard to make this happen. And this is really good news. So I would certainly, if they put up a website, I would order the test right away. I am thinking of just going ahead and taking the test if I can, just to see if I've had it, because there's been a lot of different reports going on. So if I've already had coronavirus and have the antibodies, why wouldn't I want to donate the blood? So, and I have the unique type of blood that I could do that. So that's something I will consider and do. The next thing on my list, next thing that was talked about in today in coronavirus, is 2 new studies using antibody testing to assess how many people have been affected turned up numbers higher than most experts expected. So this is good news. Now I'll read to you a little bit about this. Both studies were performed in California, one among residents in Santa Clara County, south of San Francisco, and the other among residents in Los Angeles County. In both cases, the estimates of the number of people affected countrywide were far higher than the number of confirmed cases. In the Santa Clara County case, researchers tested 3,330 volunteers for antibodies indicating exposure. Roughly 1.5% were positive. After adjustments intended to account for differences between the sample and the population of the country as a whole, the researchers estimate that the prevalence of antibodies fell between 2.5% or a bit more than 4%. So this tells you a lot of people are infected. So this is another great note. So we got 2 pieces of great information. The antibodies, it means a lot of people, there are a lot more known cases than we know of, which is something we've been discussing over the last 2 weeks. But now there's a study. that proves it. So that's two good reasons why I feel we will be back to work quite soon, sooner than later. Another bit of great news: the Senate on Tuesday passed $484 million coronavirus relief package that will replenish the depleted loan program for distressed small businesses. So, if you are a small business, you need to go on this website and do this immediately at irs.gov. Just Google small business, and the information and website will come up readily available. Go online and do it right away. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Harvard actually got some money, and it was talked about in today's coronavirus update or reopening update that the president did today. I'm going to read a little bit about this. President Trump told reporters at Tuesday White's House Coronavirus Task Force press briefing that he would personally ask Harvard University to return the $8.6 million it allegedly received for Small Business Administration through the Paycheck Protection Program. While Harvard planned on using the money to assist the student body with financial assistance, the university has received criticism in receiving the loan. Now, I do think, Harvard, this wasn't good. The money was needed for small businesses. I knew, of course, you qualified. But everybody who's listening, you, me, and everyone else knows this money is for people who are really, really struggling. And obviously, Harvard's a big university. They are not struggling. And so even though they claim they want to use the money, possibly we're going to use the money to help, I don't know, to help low income people financially, I still feel it was just irresponsible that they took the money. If you don't need the loan program, you don't need it. There's so many people who do need it, and it's a limited amount of money. I know it's tempting. The money is there, and you want to just go for it, but there are a lot of people who need it, and we should support those people to help them get through this difficult time. Another thing, let's see, the U.S. Treasury, let's see, what else did he say? He said they're returning the money. President Trump says he will issue a temporary suspension of immigration to the U.S. for 60 days, which I think is good because it limits, if you're an immigrant, if you're a company and you want to hire immigrants, they want you to just focus on American citizens. And I just think that's wonderful. It's good for our country. And there's so many people who need the work that we're going to help our citizens first. I agree, correct? I think of the United States as my own family. And who would you help? Would you help a stranger or would you help someone in your own family? There's nothing wrong with that. The whole country is built upon relationships and who you know. And that's how the big universities and these big companies were able to get these loans because they had all the contacts to pull it off. So that was wrong. So it's all about who you know. It's all about money and power. I'm hoping there's a shift and change that will come around. Obviously, human beings are easily corrupted, easily will sell off anything or anyone for any amount, seems like. I'm hoping that there is an awareness that we should be better people in general and try to love and support each other. And that's what I intend to support people in doing. So that's why I decided to do the show, because I got tired of the homeless issue and felt that was something I could possibly do and get out there and be an advocate and say we need to figure out some positive solutions to help people get back on their feet. Because we're not only just I care about my family, but I care about the human race, and I care about the citizens here in the United States. There's some really great people. It's a great place to be. When you go to the stores, because all of us are going to the grocery stores, and we see the people that are the cashiers and walking around, I literally would want to hug and kiss them because I'm so excited that they're here and they're helping us, but obviously I can't really do all that. So a nice wave from a distance usually works, but I usually tell them how much I appreciate for what they do. And because of these people, because of their sacrifices, I wouldn't be able to go to the store every day. I wouldn't be able to enjoy this moment and just go to the store. It just would be impossible. So I really, really applaud people who are on the front lines, whether you're doctors, whether you're nurses, whether you're healthcare workers, or even the janitors who work in these hospitals. It's not easy, especially when you look at janitors and people who don't earn a lot of money. Typically, they have one or two jobs. They're really struggling to get to make ends meet. And so we need to love and support those people because it's not easy doing those jobs. So I just want to say that, which I think is really critically important. Also, there are a lot of great vaccinations that are coming up, and people have been talking about them. And several, but I thought I had a little bit of a note on it, but vaccinations have been, there's a few coming out. Apparently, there's one in 6 months, so we'll see how that all unfolds. Hydrochloroquine is still there, so if you still want to use it, you can, which I think is really, really nice. Um, Now we're to talk a little bit about mental health. One of the key things I was going to go on, my goal this week is to talk about business and figure out some steps. Because if you're a regular person and you're watching me, you don't have the context, you don't have come from a wealthy family, you don't have all these resources that some people do. How do I create the life that I want? And my husband and I had this long discussion about it. How can I help you? And if you're speaking to someone, like if you were a friend or an employee or an associate, we could just go to lunch, we could just go for coffee, and I could get to know you and I could understand how your mind works and where you are and where I could be supportive, correct? I could be the cheerleader and a supportive person. But how do I do this on Periscope? How do I do this on Periscope with you guys, correct? How do I share some knowledge that I think can enhance your life and make it better? I offer hope, which is great, but I want to offer something a little bit more concrete. So I'm talking about these books, which is a really good start, but I'm thinking of a plan and a strategy that what I can do to help you get to the next level, whatever that level may be. Okay, so here's some great books that I'm offering for free. They're ebooks that I will have my assistant Grace and send them to you. They're absolutely free. You're under no obligation. You don't have to sign up for a website. You don't even have to talk to me again. But they're there for you to enjoy, and they're absolutely free, no obligation. So here are the books: A Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, Power of Positive Thinking, Power of the Positive Mind, Power of the Subconscious Mind, excuse me, The Magic of Thinking Big, strong book, Road Less Traveled, and Outwitting the Devil. So those are the 7 books. If you want any of these books, they're absolutely free. Just email him and we will send you the books. There's under no obligation. You don't have to sign for a website. You don't have to call me. You don't have to do anything. You just have to do it. And they're absolutely free. The deadline, I extended it out again for another week, and I'm looking at some more books that I may release as well. I just have a lot of ebooks. I read a lot, and I'm always thinking of what information I could share or pass on. Um, we will eventually start to discuss wine business in general. I'm just give you some tips. We're going to talk about networking, which I think is really important. How to start a startup. Perhaps you have a great idea and you're just sitting there and you wrote down your idea. What are the next steps? We're going to talk about that. Real estate, startups, fashion, movies, and just life in general. I do want to say this scarf was given to me by a friend of mine many years ago. It's a Picasso scarf. I love Picasso. So if you really want to see a good movie about Picasso, Andrew Banderas played Picasso. He was nominated, I believe, for Critics' Choice Award and a Golden Globe Award. It's on Nat Geo. It's absolutely brilliant. But someone very close to me knew Picasso. I wish I would have had the opportunity to meet him. Oh my God, wouldn't it have been great? But he's told me a lot about Picasso, and I'm a collector of art, and I also broker art as well on the very high end. So we're talking rare Picassos, rare Monets, rare Rembrandts, and some of the rarest artists out there. So if you have a piece of art you want to sell, I have off market. I have great contacts. I know a great deal of high net worth individuals across the globe, and maybe I could be of assistance. So that's one of the things that I do as well, besides having a film company and the fashion business and all the great stuff. So I really enjoy doing a lot of different things, and I just want to share that with you. So this is one of my favorite scarves from my friend. So they're a little plug from my good friend Julie, who gave me the scarf. Now, this is a quote from one of the books that I read. This is from Napoleon Hill. And we're talking about developing the mind, because when you're born, you're exposed to your parents. And whatever your parents' patterns of thinking and behaving, you as a small little person absorb that information. And you didn't have a chance to really question it. It became, quote, normal, correct? So if your dad walked a certain way, had certain mannerisms, or whatever the case may be, you emulated that behavior. And you never really questioned it. And if your parents were dysfunctional or had issues, then of course you mimicked and copied those patterns. Then you go from your childhood of being with your family. Next step is going to school, and depending on the school and how your mind is open to learning, it will continue obviously to develop, and you could continue to develop critical skills, critical thinking skills to help navigate. I think one of the big things that hampers people is prejudice, making assumptions about a group of individuals, making assumption about yourself, making assumptions about the world that may or may not be true. You want to keep your mind focused on truth. Now, what's happening is because we're inundated with media, constant messaging all day, and we internalize that messaging. Now, most of the messaging you'll find in social media is, I would say, is kind of destructive, correct? But there are some good information, and you have to have a mind that's in tune to figuring out the puzzle of the good information, the truth, the seeds that you can then add into your life, and then block out all the negative things that do not serve you, correct? And so that's what you do. Another big good an issue to think about as well is to not take anything personal. Life is not a personal experience. People will say and do things. They like you one day, they don't like you the next. You have to get over the fact that some people are just not going to like you, and some people are going to hate you. And the more you talk out, you're just going to have a lot of criticism. So you're just going to have to get over the fact. You're just going to have to be you, and you're just going to have to just create your own path, your own way of life, your own way of being, the own way you have to. Okay? You cannot control where you were born, who your parents are, how you look, your eyes, your nose, any of these things were given to you. So why dwell in them? Those are the cards you were given. Deal with it. So if you don't like your physical appearance, I recommend just getting over it. It's a beautiful specimen that God has created and given to you. Enjoy it for what it is and move on to something positive and do something that can create and add to life. How do you bring more love and more hope? Because we were talking, I said, how do you help people to become better people? And the only way, of course, is people thinking about their spirituality, thinking of karma, thinking of cause and effect to get them to think in a more positive way. But, being a good person doesn't, the rewards necessarily don't come immediately to you. Because suppose you're a really good person, but you look next to you and someone else is doing everything wrong, but appears to be winning, so to speak. They really are losing, but their illusion is that they believe that they're actually winning. So that is not, you, most people are going to look at that. Look at this guy. He's cheating, stealing, doing everything wrong, and he's succeeding. Well, he's not. So, how do you support people to be good people, good citizens? Not a citizen, a person who just accepts everything for the way it is, but a person who questions the information, who questions their reality, who understands that each individual human has their own perceptions of reality, and that's why relationships are challenging and difficult. How do you figure that puzzle piece out so you can create the life that you want? How do you use your time well and structure it? You have to become a leader. You have to learn how to leverage your time, leverage your money. These are all the different issues and different things that we'll discuss at a later date. This is me trying to figure out what it is that you need that I can provide. And so I'm reading the papers, I'm analyzing everything. Now, of course, I watch a lot of TV and movies. We can go on about that. But now that I can go to the movies, I'm still catching up on my list. I have a sci-fi list of movies that I'm going through. I have a thriller list, a crime drama that I'm going through. Now, a show I am watching right now that I just started to binge watch is 000 on Amazon Prime. It's by an Italian director. I don't have the name in front of me. I'm only in the fourth episode. Once I get through, I'll see if it's on my list, but I'm going to provide all this list. But I'm catching up on all the TV and movies that are out there. And I can provide more of this list. I get invited to a lot of shows. I go to a lot of events. I know a lot of people. So I have a lot of great information I can share with you in that particular regard, in that particular area. We'll continue to focus on business. We'll continue to focus on other areas that I think that can help you. But if you're a small business owner, you're listening to this, even if you doubt, maybe you have 5 employees, apply for that loan immediately and see if you can get the money, and do whatever you can to get that money for you. Now, the big guys, the ones who have resources to have the money, like Harvard. And did you hear about the other company, Shake Shack? They gave the money back. I thought that was great. They gave the $10 million back. It's called Shake Shack or Shake Shack. They gave the 10 million back, so I applaud them for doing that, which I think is really supportive and wonderful. I just want to say, you guys, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. If you're watching me on YouTube channel, thank you for liking me. And if you do like what I'm saying, please write a comment. Please like it. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Periscope or Twitter, send me a note at gracienkWhite@gmail.com. We'll continue our discussion. I am going to launch a podcast, and we'll be able to talk about more interesting issues as well, which I think are some really key points in business, which I think are particularly good, and to talk about some of the projects and things that I'm working on that I think could be of help. And I think that's going to be it today. I am having a BLT. Now, I try not to eat bacon. Bacon is not very good. In fact, it has carcinogens in it. It's terrible. It's the worst. So what I did was I juiced all day, yesterday and today, to prepare my body for a BLT. And then once I go back to juicing again. I don't recommend eating a BLT, but I'm happy to admit I really enjoy BLTs. They're really, really good. And I haven't been getting much sleep. I've been binge watching, because once I get addicted to a show, I say, oh, one more episode, and then, I don't get enough sleep. So thank you for joining me for another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. I will be here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sorry I got on a little late. It was a really busy day. 7 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm here on Twitter and Periscope. Next week, I'm starting the podcast, and you also can find me on YouTube. So see you guys soon. Take care. If you want any of those ebooks, send me an email. Have a good day and a better tomorrow. Best quote that I have about life is: love many, trust a few, learn to paddle your own canoe, and go for it. Take care, and God bless.